So you want to learn how to flashlight save. If you're trying to play more aggressively, or you're just not sure how to use a flashlight, this video's for you. For this tutorial, I'll be using empathy, so I can find injured survivors quickly. And with that being said, let's jump right in. The first thing you'll want to practice is aiming. I recommend finding random points on the map that are about the height of a killer's head, and trying to hit them as you run past. I would also practice with the same character because each survivor is a different height and requires slightly different aim. Keep in mind that the closer you are to the killer, the higher you'll need to aim. Now let's talk about positioning. If you're not far enough in front of the killer, the flashlight won't do anything except illuminate your teammate's disappointment. You'll know you're blinding the killer when you hear a burning sound and you see the beam narrow, then flash. The killer's FOV is not very wide, so you want to get as far in front as possible before starting the blind. You have more room for error if the killer is running Shadowborn, but you can't really tell that going into the match. As far as distance goes, I try to get the blind within 1 to 2 lengths of the killer's red stain, unless I'm running range add-ons. I recommend practicing without these until you're comfortable with the distance of a standard beamer. If the killer is running Lightborn, you'll hear the burn, but the beam won't do anything. Then you go work on gens. When the killer picks up a survivor, there are 3 distinct beats in the animation: the spin, the lift, and the hoist. The entire pickup animation lasts for 3 seconds, and during this time, the player has no control of the killer, and they cannot be stunned. The flashlight takes 1 second to fully blind the killer, so the goal is to start the blind 2 seconds into the animation so the actual stun happens right at the end. If you wait too long to start the blind, the killer can just turn away from the beam, unless they're this guy. It's worth mentioning that Fire Up makes the pickup animation faster as gens get completed. So if you feel like you're starting the blind at the right moment, but the killer is able to turn out of it, they may be running this perk. Now, the easiest way to tell which way the killer is facing is to look for the red stain, but you can also tell based on which way the survivor's feet are pointing during the spin. Also, as the survivor is being lifted off the ground, their feet always point in the direction the killer is facing. The cue to start the blind is when the killer hoists the survivor from the hip up to the shoulder. During the first 2 seconds, you'll want to be getting into position while lining up your aim. Once you're in position and your aim is dialed in, wait for the killer to start hoisting up to their shoulder, then start the blind. Almost every killer has this beat in their animation. The only exception so far is the Onryo. Because she brings the survivor to their knees and then straight to her shoulder, you basically start the blind right before she lifts the survivor off the ground. You may notice she lifts her right hand right before the lift, but this can be tricky to spot. The last thing I'll mention is the importance of being stealthy. Getting flashlight saves requires that you be in the right place at the right time without being seen until the killer decides to pick. A lot of killers will fake the pickup and then look around, so don't run out in the open until you see the survivor spin on the ground. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Now go be a menace.